We're going to start Unit 5 by talking about something called a relation. So the I CAN statement for Section 5.1 is I can understand and write relations in various forms. So go ahead and write the word relations right there. So we'll be talking about relations in this particular section, and let's start off with the warm-up, and it says, what do you think of when you think of the word relation? So most people, when they think of the word relation, they think of something like this: relationship. So the relationships that we have with other people, or the things that we have, or whatever it is. Or we might also think of this word, related. Okay, both of those are totally fine. Relationship or related, and relation all mean the same thing. So we're going to talk specifically about what a relationship is in math, or what a relation is in math. And it says, what does it mean when two things correspond? Well, the word here is correspond, and we're going to be throwing that word around quite a bit. So when we say things correspond, they match up with each other. Okay, so when somebody says things correspond, think they match up with each other, or they're related to each other. So a relation is a rule that describes how two items correspond to each other. There's that word, correspond to each other. So in other words, how they match up with each other. And this correspondence can always be written as a set of ordered pairs. A set of ordered pairs. If we've got two things and they're related to each other, or they correspond to each other, we're going to match them up as a set of ordered pairs, kind of like we've matched up X and Y pairs as we've been going through this year. So in addition to writing a relation as a set of ordered pairs, and we're going to use sets quite a bit, we can also write them as a table, as a mapping, or as a graph. So we've got these four different ways of talking about them. We can write them down as a set of ordered pairs, we can write them down in a table, we can write them down as a mapping, and if they're numbers, then we can actually graph them. Now we're going to start off with kind of a different example. It doesn't have anything to do with math. If you want to take a second and write these down, let's say our relationship is, or our relation is, students and the colors they are wearing. Okay? So this one over here is the students. So I've got several student names here, and this is the colors they are wearing. All right. So in this mapping, what we're going to do is we're going to show how they correspond to each other. So I've got this set of students right here. I just have 3 students, and then over here I've got colors. All right. And let's say that Nina is wearing a white top with black pants. So when we map this, or literally all we're doing is we're just drawing an arrow that shows what the correspondence is, shows this relationship here. So Nina is wearing a white top and black pants. Talon is wearing a red top and tan pants. And then Andrew is wearing a black top with blue pants. Okay, so if we've written this down as a relation and mapped this, what we're doing is we're mapping each student to the colors they're wearing. So as we set up above, a mapping is one way to represent a relation. So we've got this mapping done here. Let's write it down as a table. So we're going to put the students over here, and we're going to put the colors they're wearing over on the other side. And we're going to write this down in a table. So I'm going to write Nina, and she's wearing white. I'm going to write Nina, she's wearing black. And the reason we need to write it down twice is because Nina corresponds to 2 different colors. Again, it's this relationship, this correspondence that we're writing down here. And then we've got Talon, he's wearing red. And we've got Talon again, he's wearing tan. And then we've got Andrew. He's wearing, let's see, what was he wearing? He's wearing a black top, and he's wearing blue bottoms, blue pants. Okay. All right, so we've written it down in a table, and then we're also going to write it down as a set of ordered pairs. Well, if you stop and think about it, these are the sets of ordered pairs. Really, to make this a set of ordered pairs, all we need to do is put each one of these in parentheses, put a comma in between them, and then we'll write it down as a set. Now, we do need set brackets to mark this down as a set, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to start off with a set of set brackets. That's probably the nicest set of brackets you'll ever see me make. And then we're going to go ahead and write down the set of ordered pairs. So I'm going to write down Nina and white, and then I'm going to put a comma, and we'll put Nina and black. Okay. Next one would be Talon and red, and then we're going to do talon, and what do you have on tan? All right. And then we could continue going through this. I'm just going to put a dot, 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 and then I'm going to finish with Andrew and blue to finish that off. Okay, and then we'll do a closing set of brackets right there. I'll go ahead and fill this in right here. There's only 6 ordered pairs here, so this is Andrew and black. Okay. All right, so we've got all those marked down. So we've got a mapping, we've got a table, and we've got a set of ordered pairs. And the only one that's a little bit weird is the set of ordered pairs. You do have to use a set of, or some set brackets, and they kind of look like this. So make sure you do that when you're doing a set of ordered pairs. The only one that we didn't do here, so we did a set, we did a table, and we did a mapping. There's really not a way to graph these points. If they were numbers, then we'd be able to graph those sets of ordered pairs. Now I do want you to note that most of the time the relations that we're going to be working with, they are going to be sets of ordered pairs with x and y pairs. So we're going to have x's and y's here. So we're going to be working with numbers most of the time. So here's an example with numbers. So you'll notice that we've got a pair of set brackets on the inside and the outside. So this is our set of ordered pairs. So if we've got a set of ordered pairs, then what we can do is we can write down the mapping. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to write down -4 and 3. So these are the x's and these are the y's. We're going to do them in that order. That's just very typical. And I'm going to draw an arrow here. And then we've got 0 and 4. I'm going to draw an arrow there. We've got 1 and -1. We'll draw an arrow there. Again, we're mapping one to the other. And then the next one is 2 and 1. So we'll draw an arrow there. 3 and 3. Now you'll notice that I already have a 3 over here. I don't need to write another one. What I can do is I can just draw a line from here up to there. And then I've got a 1 and I've got a 2. Okay? So there's our mapping. We've taken all 6 of those ordered pairs. We've put them kind of the first coordinate, the x is over here, the y is over here, and then we've drawn what the correspondence is. We've mapped the x onto each one of those y's. So now we'll write a table. So we're going to do an x and a y here, and then we're just going to do -4, 3, 0, 4, 1, -1, 2, 1, 3, 3, and then 1, 2. Okay, so we've gone from the set to the mapping to the table, and then the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and graph this. So we're going to graph -4, 3, so that means we're going to go back 4 and we're going to go up 3, so we're going to put a point right there. 0, 4, right there. 1, -1, we're right here. 2, 1 would be right here. 3, 3 would be over 3 and up 3 from the origin, and then let's see, 1, 2, so over 1 and up 2. So we'd be right there. Now, you might have noticed that on this mapping right here, I already had a 1 in here. So if we wanted to, we could change this and we could say, look, we've already got a 1. Let's have it correspond like this. Okay. Now, this is a great idea to do this. That way we're not repeating anything over here, and we're showing what each one corresponds. It's really easy to look at this and say, oh, 1 corresponds to -1 and it corresponds to 2. In fact, I probably should have done that to begin with. So let's take a look at the next example. You'll notice that we're given a table first, then we're going to write down a set of ordered pairs, a mapping, and then finally a graph. So let's go ahead and write down the set brackets. So we'll do this, and then we've got -1, -3. The next one would be 2, -1. The next one is 3, 1. The next one is 3, 0. And the last one is 4, 1. Close the set of parentheses on the ordered pair, and then we're going to put the closing set brackets. So they look kind of like that. And again, mine look kind of crappy, but do your best there. The next thing is the mapping. Let's keep track and make sure that we do this the right way. So we're going to have a, let's see, a -1, a 2. There are 2 3s, so I'm just going to write down 1, 3. And then we've got a 4. And then we've got a -3, a -1, a 1, and a 0. And then this 1 right here is a repeat, so I'm not going to write that. So let's just line these up. So we've got a -1 and a -3, so I'm going to draw an arrow here. We've got a 2, -1, so we'll draw an arrow here. We've got a 3, 1, so we'll draw an arrow here. We've got a 3, 0, so we'll draw another arrow from that same 3. And then we've got a 4, 1. So again, I'm not repeating these at all. I'm just going to draw the arrows there so we can see what each one corresponds to. And then we've got a graph. So let's go ahead and graph this. So -1, -3. So -1 and down 3. So back 1, down 3. 2, -1. So over 2 and down 1. 3, 1. So that's over 3 and up 1. 3, 0 would be over 3, and we don't go up or down, so we'd be right there. And then we've got 4, 1. So 4, 1 would be right here. So 4 different ways of representing the same thing, and this is much more typical of what we'll be doing when we talk about relations, and in the next section we're going to talk about functions, very special type of relation. So these 4 different ways: we've got a graph, we've got a mapping, we've got a set of ordered pairs, and we've got a table. Again, it's much more typical to see numbers, XY pairs, than it is to see something like this, but the idea works the same. We're talking about a correspondence, a relationship between a first set and a second set. So good luck with the assignment. You should be in pretty good shape.